Today we're going to install the SherlockBench API on Ubuntu 25.04. Now this is a stock Ubuntu, but we have already installed the SherlockBench client, so we have Python, Git and Postgres installed already. So let's go to the SherlockBench website. Click through to the API. Clone the GitHub repo as usual. Just going to make sure this machine is muted actually. Git clone. CD into that. Cool. So we're mostly just going to be following the README, so we need to install Clojure, npm and Redis. Now I think Clojure is in apt, but I prefer to install the latest version, so what did I just... Oh, there was a pop-up intercepting my key presses. So install Clojure, Linux instructions. So before we can run the installer, we need Java, curl, RL wrap, so we can easily install all of those. Default and JRE gets us the default Java for Ubuntu, curl and RL wrap. Let's make a new terminal here. Cool. So we now should be able to just run this curl command to download the installer. And run the installer. Cool, so that looks like it worked. So if we just run CLJ to check that we have a working Clojure REPL, 4 plus 6 is 10, great, it's working, cool. So we've got Clojure, so let's just close that. We also need npm because we've got some Clojure script for the web front end. And Redis again for session caches for the front end. So sudo apt install npm and Redis. Cool, so we've got npm and Redis. So we need to add a config.edit in now. Okay, so if we switch back to our repository directory, so we can, the bare minimum for this file is just an empty map, so we're going to start off with that. This example can be used later if you want. Okay, so we need a Postgres database. We have already installed Postgres, so we just need to connect to that and create a new database. Cool, that should be it. So if we go back, right. So we can now fire up our closure REPL in our repository. So if we type coj-m dev, that should pull up the dev profile. Oh, did we miss something? Did we add that? No, we've missed something. So we need to add our database config. So if we save that to SherlockBench API env dev resources db credentials.in. Okay, good. So when we, okay, cool. So as it says, we can type Go. This is an integrant project, so Go just tells integrant to fire up the application. Cool. So this means it's successfully connected to the database at least, so our credentials file worked. So now we run migrate. So this will create our database tables, so our app is ready to go. Nil response usually means it worked, so let's just check the database. So if we connect to the database we created, list the tables, we've got runs, attempts, users, as expected. Cool, so at this point the SherlockBench API should actually be up and running. So to confirm that it works, we're going to use the SherlockBench client we installed before and just point it at localhost. So if we open our editor and go to the config and just change the base URL to point at localhost, save that. So I should now be able to do a list. Cool, so the fact that the list has worked and given us a list of sample problems shows that the API is up and running. So obviously if we want to run the full benchmark, we can. I already showed how to do that in the previous, but why not? Okay, so while that runs, there's a couple more things to show. So there is a web front end for SherlockBench. It's not particularly useful yet. It's kind of unfinished, but if you want to use that, we need to run this query to create an admin user. And we run that in the REPL where we ran the migration. So okay, so if that's worked, I believe the web front end is available on localhost 3000. Cool, so that's working. So if we go to the admin console, great. So this is the front end for what it's worth. The other thing that's worth doing is adding some extra problem sets. So for that we will need to expand our config. Remember we just made an empty map. Let's actually open that. So this will need to have problem namespaces defined. So the easiest way to do this, if we just go back to the SherlockBench main website, go to problem sets and download one. Let's just download Sherlock 1. In fact, we can just, the quickest way to do this is to just go to the actual code file and copy the whole thing. And if we save that in our circ under CLJ, we should now be able to refer to that from here. So if we now go back to our REPL and do a reload or reset, I forget. Reset. So it should pull in the new problem sets. So this is still running, but if we just SBench list, you can now see we've got the Sherlock 1 problem set. So I think that about covers it. If you want to actually run the SherlockBench server in production, there's some more documentation down here, but for development, this is all you need.